I used to do lots of things.
I used to do things and I'd say things and Jesus I was evil. Take things and break things and Jesus I was evil. I never shook baby.
No lunch meats this episode.
No more deli meats.
Okay, you're Tony Soprano. I saw this really funny clip on Instagram today. It was like Tony Soprano when he ever has the minorest inconvenience. He's just like shoving prosciutto into his mouth, right from the fridge.
Oh man,
very true. I don't know. It's his comfort food, I suppose.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's a sad day.
It is. Yes.
William Friedkin, the director of The Exorcist, passed away.
Did he pass away yesterday?
I think he died yesterday. Yeah.
Yeah. Today's recording Tuesday.
Yeah, and so I'm sure we've talked a little bit about The Exorcist before, but The Exorcist is one of my favorite horror movies of all time.
It might be my favorite.
Yeah. It's at the very least, it's definitely my top 5, absolutely for sure.
It's one of my favorite movies, period.
Oh hell yeah, dude!
Not just horror. Horror is tough because there's so many subgenres.
Yeah.
Like I love zombie, but exorcism movies are probably my favorite subgenre of horror.
Yeah.
My favorite genres of movies,
Yeah.
and Exorcist is my favorite exorcism movie.
Yeah.
So do you put the Charlie Day Venn diagram up of the different connecting and figure out where that lands? But it's very high. It's an amazing movie. I know for a fact I've talked about that one shot of The Exorcist standing on the street and the light from the window coming down. To me, this is like one of the most iconic shots in cinema ever. One of my absolute favorites.
Oh, absolutely! It's so well done. I mean, just the cinematography throughout the film is phenomenal. Like, just like an amazing use of light and shadow. And that's Billy Friedkin's expert directorial skills on display. I love the fact that he treated the material very seriously. Like this could have been just like a very shocking exploitative film, but he treated it, this idea of ancient evil in a modern world with complete sincerity, and the fact that so William Peter Blatty, who wrote the novel that the movie was based on, and he also wrote the script, and he actually ended up winning an Oscar for adapting his own thing. Dude, the Exorcist was nominated for 10 Oscars. Like that's crazy really? For a horror movie. I mean, for any like to sweep the Oscars, that's a huge thing. But for
I didn't know that. What I also learned right before we recorded is that the novel came out 2 years before the book, like the movie, which is like really rare. I feel like because the novel is on my ever-growing list of books to read. It's definitely, I just kind of pick randomly or when I find it in the store, in the library or whatever, like for sale. I think I'm going to make a point to read that this October when I do Horror-thon for movies. I think I'm going to make sure to read a horror novel or book or two. But that was the novel a smash hit?
Yeah.
It was really popular. Okay. I didn't know that. I thought the movie was just huge. Obviously it was a phenomenon, really, and I didn't know that the novel was that popular.
From what I understand, it was a huge hit, actually. So Blatty was he was on a game show. I think it was the Gong Show in the mid to late 60s, and it's some hokey show, and and he won like the top prize for that episode. Whatever the cash prize was, like $10,000 or something. Cool. And then apparently he was asked by the host, "Hey, so what are you going to do with your money?" And then he said, "I'm going to quit my job and become a writer." And then The Exorcist ended up being that project that he worked on after the game show.
Oh shit! Okay, you said 60. So he was on that show before he wrote The Exorcist, not as like a celebrity. Oh, that's amazing.
He was a nobody on a game show, and then
that's so cool.
Amazing. But yeah, I love how Blatty he was adamant that the director be agnostic, because I don't want the film to be preachy one way or the other. I want the director to treat it seriously enough, but where it's like believers and non-believers can get something out of it. I'll leave it up to them. So I like that approach. And I like how Friedkin also didn't shy away from the shocking aspects, because there's a great documentary.
That's an understatement.
I know. Dude, that movie's still really fucking potent. Like it hits really hard today.
It holds up. So I think I watched it 2 years ago.
Yeah.
I mean, rewatched it. I've seen it obviously several times before that, but rewatched it like to write a review about. I think like I only started the list like 4 years ago, 2019. So I think I rewatched it 2 years ago. I think 2021, and it holds up so well.
Yeah.
It's terrifying.
Yeah. It's an intense movie, and I like that. So apparently when Blatty adapted the script from his novel, I guess he cut out a lot of that stuff, because he's like, no, they're not going to let us get away with this. Let's tone it down, and it'll be a little more psychological. And the Freak was like, no, like we're gonna show all of it, but I'm gonna shoot it in almost like a semi documentary style. Like it's just gonna be like straightforward. I'm not gonna shy away from any of it. And then it's like, all right, so he put all the shocking stuff back in, and holy shit, good thing he did, man, because
it was man, that was like, so let's see, my parents were in their early 20s, if not late teens, when that came out. I think they were about 20, late teens when that came out. And like my mom went to Catholic school. Like she talks about this movie, like that terrified her. Like that was really, and she's like not, she's not like a religious person at all. Right. I think she's agnostic, and she listens to this sometimes. Maybe she'll tell me after listening. I think she's like fairly agnostic, like kind of pro Christian values and like Christianity generally, but like I don't know, last time she went to a church, that wasn't like a wedding or something or funeral. But like even at that, and I don't know if she was really religious then, but she's talked about that movie growing up, how like horrifying that really was.
Yes.
And my dad, on the other hand, fucked with friends. I remember like went under because I think he was in college, like went under his roommate's bed and like started pressing up on it. He was asleep and was fucking with them. Ironically, he's kind of the more religious one now. So anyway, it's kind of
it's funny. Like most of the adults in my life growing up have a story like that where they were, it scarred them for life. But there are a handful of adults who I know where it's like they thought it was hilarious. Like just a tiny few. They thought it was just so over the top that it was ridiculous. But similar to that, where it's like my aunt, like it freaked her out when she saw it, but the guy that she was married to at the time, like he took advantage of it. So he started doing the Exorcist voice to her just to freak her out and stuff. But it's one of those things where it's like 90% of adults at the time were freaked out and were scarred forever after. And then a handful were just like using it as like prank material. But yeah, man, it's still one of my all-time favorite, like you said, favorite movies ever. Did you ever watch any of the sequels?
If I did, I don't remember them.
Exorcist 2 is garbage. It's got kind of a cool score though, because it's got.
I really don't like sequels most of the time, and then just kind of ruining. Like superhero movies are one thing. There are some exceptions, but oftentimes sequels are just a cash grab. And they're just like it just makes me hate. It just gets me angry. So like I had heard there were sequels, but no, I didn't see any of them. You said 2 is garbage.
2 is garbage. It's got a few kind of cool parts, but it's mostly garbage. Part 3 is actually kind of cool because William Peter Blatty returned and he wrote and directed it, and it was based on a sequel that he wrote to The Exorcist.
I feel like that happens a lot. Where the sequel is garbage to something, and then for instance, our last episode or 2 episodes ago, Paul Verhoeven talked a lot about Starship Troopers. One of my favorite movies of all time. Starship Troopers 2 is one of the worst movies I've ever seen. I'm not exaggerating. It almost has like nothing to do with. It's like they just took the name Starship Troopers, and made a movie that was more of akin to like
a Sci-Fi Channel
alien movie. Well, no, like more of a haunted house. Like there's a creature in the house. Like Alien's not a good example because that's an amazing movie, but like one thing just kind of infecting people. It has nothing to fucking do with arachnids or like the story at large. But then 3, Casper Van Dien comes back. It's like more about the greater, system and the Federation and all that shit. And it's like it's not a great movie, but it's decent and actually feels connected. I feel like that happens a lot where 1 is amazing, 2 is god awful, and 3 is like decent.
Right. It was like, okay, we got to bring back somebody from the original.
We pissed off people too much. Exactly.
Yeah. The part 2 is actually all right. And then there were 2 prequels. There's a weird story about the prequels because a director who was actually part of like the movie brats generation of the 70s, was Paul Schrader. He wrote and directed one of them, but then it got chopped up by the studio, so they brought in Rennie Harlan to like redirect a whole, like basically like just do like a whole separate movie. So they released that one, and then that one got horrible reviews, and they're like, okay, let's bring out Paul Schrader and let's have him finish his original thing, but it was still garbage. So there were 2 prequels, and they're very similar. There's a lot of the same footage, but they're just it's weird. They're both shitty.
What do you know what they're called?
Yeah, Dominion, Exorcist Dominion, and then Exorcist. I think it's just like the prequel or some shit.
Yeah, I'm surprised I haven't seen them because, like I said, I do just like there are movies that like if they have really bad reviews, I won't. And like there's to be a reason for me to like to see something that doesn't have good reviews or take a chance on because there's so many movies out there.
Right.
And like exorcism movies and like horror movies I tend to take more chances on. So I've seen a lot of like bad exorcism and zombie movies. One of the worst movies I've seen since starting my movie review page is an exorcism movie. It was so goddamn bad. But
which one was it?
It was called, I'd have to check it. It's like a girl who gets possessed, which isn't, but she's not like a young girl. Like it's pretty typical. She's like a 20-something-year-old. And has Digimon Hansu in it.
Oh, okay.
Jaimon Hansu. I call him Digimon Hansu. But it's like a total bait and switch. He's in like 2 scenes.
Oh.
He's like in the Vatican archives. It's called the Vatican. Is it the Vatican tapes or something?
That sounds familiar.
That might be a different. That's definitely the name of a movie. It might be a different one. This movie was so goddamn bad. It was like more about the Antichrist and anyway. So I'm just surprised that in my forays into like exorcism movies, like have you seen REC? REC? The Spanish one?
No, I haven't.
It's like a part exorcism. It's part exorcism, part zombie. Fucking awesome.
Okay.
They remade it. You know what they made? Quarantine.
Oh, that's right.
That's just the American version. It's not as good.
Yeah.
The Spanish version is. I'm not just saying that to be like hipster and the foreign film. Like no, it's the monster in REC. So again, it's not even like it's like part possession, zombie, and like monster is terrifying. And really well done and like really scary. So I highly recommend that. Cool. I don't just mean to go on an exorcism tangent here, but I'm just saying I'm surprised I haven't seen any of the prequels or sequels.
The prequels are garbage, but they're worth watching back to back just to kind of see how like 2 different directors handled like the same material. So it's more just kind of like an exercise in sort of like direct. I mean, it's funny because neither of them are particularly great directors. So it's like, but it is fascinating. Just kind of seeing like what 2 different guys do with the same actors, the same cast.
Let's instead of talking about the shitty ones because we are honoring Friedkin with stuff.
Yes, that's right.
Let's start with like the first thing I want to talk about with The Exorcist is the name. Like that name is so good that when I was a kid, I didn't know what an exorcist was. Like I didn't, but I knew it was something terrifying.
Yeah.
And and actually an exorcist himself isn't scary. He's supposed to be like a warrior for God doing, if you believe in it, like the most honorable, noble thing you can do.
Right.
But like the name sounds so like, for instance, if the Exorcist movie, right? Friedkin's movie, Blatty's movie, if that was called like Possession of the Devil or like the Devil Possess, like I don't think it would be as popular. I do think titles matter. Yeah. It doesn't always make or break the movie. I'm not saying it makes or breaks the movie at all, but like I think that's part of the, and also this is like the 70s. This was early 70s. This was kind of like the height of movie going. Maybe that's more the 80s or whatever. We would argue now it is with Barbie and everything, but like there weren't as many options. So I think when you have a movie called The Exorcist and it has this content in it, it just adds to the allure. Yeah. And I'm so happy that it has that name because I think that did such a service to it. Like, it's like The Godfather, right? If The Godfather was called like the Corleone family or something like that, or, the Staten Island story or something, like it just, it doesn't have that kick to it. Like that extra something that makes it a classic. Citizen Kane, like that title makes it like something more special that not every movie has to have that. But I'm just like, I really think that Blatty gets credit for just making a simple but perfect title.
Yeah, I mean, like the movie as well as the book were so effective at assigning a sort of connotation to the word exorcist. Because I mean, like I wonder how, like, what people thought of the word exorcist before the book and the movie came out. They're like, oh, that's just some silly Catholic thing. But when the movie came out and became this huge phenomenon where people are like, ooh, exorcism, ooh, that's interesting. And funnily enough, so right after The Exorcist happened, then you had then you had some bandwagon films. So you had like The Omen. But it's funny, Omen did for the name Damien what The Exorcist did for the word, where it's like, ooh, like anytime I hear the word Damien, I think, ooh, the Antichrist, right? But funnily enough, the main priest, who was like the main hero of The Exorcist, his name was Damien.
Damien Karras, right?
Yeah,
that's funny. Yeah, Damien. I always thought it was like a cool name. Like I remember I would name characters sometimes Damien, like in things. I just, but you're right. Like yes, Damien is just associated now with the Antichrist.
But yeah,
do you think? Hold on, real quick, because we talked about this before. I'm a huge. I'm not like I shouldn't say I'm a huge true crime person because I'm really not. I actually don't like a lot of serial killer stuff. I like more interesting things than just like grow. Like I don't really give a shit about Ted Bundy and I don't know who's the one that just had the Jeffrey Dahmer, like those guys. Like interesting enough, but I don't really. It's just kind of gross. I'm more interested in like something like the West Memphis 3, which I know I've talked about on the show, where it's more of a legal battle and a mystery and injustice and still like horrific crimes. I like one of the main kids. Well, now he's an adult, and I actually follow him on Instagram, who I believe was completely wrongly accused and found guilty. He like dressed in black, had long hair. This is in Arkansas in the 90s during the Satanic Panic. This is like one of the main parts of the Satanic Panic. And his name was Damien Eccles. And I guarantee you that did not help him with that jury. Like having a kid who was kind of like, I swear, like kind of a shithead. He'll admit it. Like he definitely didn't handle some things right. He was like a pale kid with jet black hair and wore shirts like you're wearing and that I'm wearing right now, like a Rammstein shirt, an Exorcist shirt. And I think that his name did him a disservice.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised, man.
Here's like total aside. He's a fantastic, unbelievable story. I'm glad he's doing well. I mean, I'm really interested in this case. I really recommend if you want like a nonfiction, true crime nonfiction, is The Devil's Knot by I think her name is something Leverett, Mara Leverett maybe. Like really just an unbelievable story that happened not that long ago.
But it's interesting. The Exorcist and The Omen. The Catholic Church owes a huge debt to both those movies because after The Exorcist came out, church attendance dramatically increased, and then after The Omen came out, Bible sales skyrocketed.
Really?
Yeah, because it made a lot of references to the Book of Revelations, which is when the apocalypse happens and everything. So people are like, "Oh shit! Like I gotta read the
most metal book."
I know.
If you're just into like metal literature, read Revelations, which is actually called Apocalypse in the King James version of the Bible, is one of the most metal things you will ever read.
Yeah, like this many-headed dragon rising out of the sea, and
the Leviathan is so insane. I love it.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
But it's and it's interesting because the Exorcist film generated a lot of controversy when it came out. A lot of religious groups were speaking out against it, and there was one famous priest, I guess, who was claiming that Satan actually occupied the celluloid itself that the film was on. Yes. But there was, in this one documentary that I watched about the making of the film, they actually interviewed a priest, and he goes, I think that there is an evil within the film, but I don't think it's meant to scare you away. I think the evil in the film is forcing you to confront it. I was like, that's actually pretty interesting. A priest, defending the film.
I don't understand, like, the church are the good guys.
Yeah.
In the movie, right? Like, there's no twists. There's no, because that does happen sometimes.
Yeah.
There's no, like, there's some where the church has a altar. Like what I always say is one of my favorite archetypes in an exorcism movie is like the rogue priest.
Yeah,
it's like that. He's not sanctioned by the church, but he's going to do it anyway. He's just like got his own toolbox of exorcism tools, and but yeah, the church are the good guys in the movie.
I wonder if they got so scared like halfway through the movie that they ran out, and then they're just like, the whole movie is just this little girl
burn it.
But I think it's a nice little movie, and I think
we love it. It's to this day, I've seen a lot of horror movies. I do think there's a difference between like gross out horror, which like I've talked about. Yeah. I just don't want to see what's that one? Terrifier.
Oh yeah.
Like, not into the pure gore stuff. Some of the Japanese gore I like just because I like Japanese shit. But like Terrifier, it's just gross. Like it's not. Some of the stuff in Saw really freaks me out.
Yeah.
Especially the later ones.
Yeah.
But in terms of kind of like freaked out scariness, like that you feel in like your bones, is the spider walk.
Yeah,
that is one of the scare. When I first saw that scene, that's just to me the scariest part of the movie.
Yeah.
And like the ending that holds up, I think the best out of any. The way I'm watching how they did that. Was it like in reverse or something?
She was
like hanging from a rope.
Yeah, they had a contortionist double.
They did. That wasn't her. That wasn't Linda Blair. Okay.
Yeah. So that was like a scene that was removed from the movie and then reinstated like during like for its like 20th anniversary or something like that, or 30th anniversary.
Oh, that wasn't in the.
It wasn't in the original. No.
Theatrical. Holy shit! Really? People were that scared? It's the scariest part of the movie.
I know. Yeah, it's an intense scene. You know what's interesting too is that the movie has a lot of really subtly creepy details that I never picked up on like the first 10 times I watched it. And then it wasn't until like somebody pointed out, or maybe I put on subtitles and then I was like, oh shit, I didn't pick that up. So I don't know if you remember, but so Ellen Burstyn, who plays Reagan's mom, she's an actress in the movie. I mean, she actually plays an actress in the movie.
Yes.
And so she's friends with a British director, and and he's like this drunk guy, and so it's implied that he raped Reagan.
Really?
Yeah. So there's a part.
And is that what like opened her up to the demon?
Yeah. So
that's pretty typical. Where like
but like it's I didn't pick up on it. So it was during because this happened off screen where because the director's name is Burke, and so somebody says something like, oh, like, you know, Burke's upstairs watching Reagan, and then you hear a voice like saying like, do it you stupid bitch, but it's his voice, but it sounds more demonic. So it's like, oh, like was he forcing her to do something? And then he's the one who ends up getting thrown out of the thing. And then later on, when she's masturbating with the crucifix, you hear the director. She's speaking with the director's voice, saying, "Do you know what she did? Your cunting daughter."
By the way, now I can see why the church didn't love this movie.
Yeah.
Okay, I forgot about that part. Yeah. Okay. I can see. I can see them taking some umbrage with the film.
Yeah.
But sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. But during the crucifix masturbation scene, she's speaking in the director's voice, in Berg's voice, saying, "Do you know what she did? Your cunting daughter." And it's like, is he referring to a sexual act that she did?
Yeah.
It's like,
it's all coming back to me now.
Yeah, it was. I never picked up on that, but it's like, I think maybe because like when I watched the first few times, like it was just a demonic voice just speaking random shit. But I was like, oh wait, that's because I think I actually said Burke in Burke's voice. I was like, oh, that's interesting.
How old is she in the movie? Like,
I think she was 12.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Okay.
I know. Yeah.
Yeah.
Another cool aspect of the film that I love is Dick Smith did the makeup effects for that movie, and he's like the godfather of modern makeup effects. Like he taught Rick Baker, Stan Winston, and Rob Bottin, and Tom Savini. Yeah, he taught all of those guys, and he did. Dude, the makeup effects he did on Reagan on Linda Blair's face is phenomenal. It's terrific.
They are phenomenal. Yeah. Just oh my god, do you know what's so fucking it gives me the chills just thinking about it.
What's that?
When she's not, the camera isn't even focused on her. I think it's on Father Karras and talking to maybe The Exorcist or to someone, right? It's like a conference, and she's just in the background, like moving her tongue around, in the air. Holy fucking shit! That is one of the creepiest things I've ever seen.
Yeah,
I thought so. I had heard that Linda Blair was like really fucked up from this movie.
Yes,
but she I thought she was fucked up to the point of like she stopped acting. Like that's not true at all.
No.
Okay, yeah.
You know what's funny is that she got nominated for Best Actress in that movie, but she did not provide the voice. So people think that when the Academy found out that she wasn't doing the voice, that might have hurt her chances of actually winning.
Yeah.
Because they brought in so they brought in this other actress name. I think her name was Mercedes McCambridge. I think she was more like in the 40s and 50s, kind of like a more classic, like golden age actress.
Yeah.
And she had kind of like in Friedkin's ears, like kind of like a sexually ambiguous voice. So what he did was he tied her to a chair, and then he had her chain smoking and swallowing raw eggs, and he was like shouting insults at her and like getting her to scream. So her voice is like really raw.
Really.
Friedkin was getting back to Friedkin. That guy was crazy. Like he did this thing where he would hide guns behind the sets, and then he would shoot them off to like
fucking insane.
Yes, I mean I think they were blanks, but it's still crazy. So it's like you didn't know. So if he felt like you weren't properly scared enough for a scene, he would have a guy off screen shoot the gun, so people would be freaked out and be okay, action. So he'd catch you when you're in like this intense state. That's
that shit that like as a movie lover and film lover, I love that shit.
Yeah.
You can't do it anymore.
I know.
Like
you can't get away with that shit.
You can't get away with that shit anymore. And I could understand also as like a labor and union person,
I know,
who supports the actors. It's like I would get why they would have a problem with that. But but it makes an amazing product.
And here's the thing: it was in the 70s, so you're kind of like, oh well, I'm willing to look the other way. And then, that was a long time ago. But that wasn't even the worst of it. He did this other. So the priest who was friends with Damien Karras, at the very end of the movie, where Damien Karras is he's after he threw himself down the stairs and he's dying, and his friend Father Dyer, he's given him like his last rites or whatever.
Yeah.
Again, William Friedkin didn't think his performance was intense enough, so he asked him. He goes, "Okay, cut." He goes, "Okay, do you trust me?" And he goes, "Yeah, of course." And I guess he slapped him, like just smacked him right across the face. And he goes, "Action!" So he goes, "So when you see me and like I'm giving the final rites to him, like my hand's shaking because I'm so caught off guard. That the director slapped me." Yeah, dude,
that shit. Like I love it so much. Like it's like Kubrick and oh fuck, what's her name in The Shining? Who's the actress?
Oh, Shelley Duvall.
And like, dude, he abused the shit out of that poor woman.
She was losing hair. Like her hair was falling out of her hair.
Like the bat scene where she's like swinging the bat at Jack Nicholson going up the stairs.
Yeah.
Apparently they did like, I think like triple digit takes or something, like something insane just to wear her down. And again, horrible. Like she should sue him, but it gives us an amazing scene and an amazing movie. Like I'm very torn.
I know. I read that there was a scene, I can't remember which one, where that involved her crying. And they did the take so many times that she got dehydrated because she was crying so much. So she had to like drink a lot to like refuel her tear ducts or whatever. Like just like crazy shit.
Crazy shit, man. But is it not the best time period in cinema?
I know. Yeah, seriously.
Isn't it like the 70s, late 60s, early 70s? I mean, there are pockets of other times too, but the late 90s is known for having a great time.
Yeah.
But I think now we actually have a good era last. I mean, not 2020, 2021, but I think 2019. But late 70s, man.
Kind of the Wild West. You had these hotshot directors just doing whatever the fuck they could to get what they wanted.
So are we pro? I think we have to take a stand. Are we pro beating actors on this podcast? Okay.
Yes,
we're pro beating actor podcast. I wanted to see also who Tatum O'Neal won Best Supporting Actress that year for Paper Moon.
Paper Moon, yeah.
You know what that is? I've never seen that. Oh, it's a Bogdanovich movie. Okay.
I heard it's good though, and it's got Ryan O'Neal.
It looks like a kids movie. Is this not a kids movie?
I don't think. I think it was PG rated.
Road comedy drama.
Yeah, there are a couple of con artists, I think, or something.
Oh, con man. Okay. Interesting. Yeah, it wasn't. So it won Best Screenplay
and Best Sound, I think.
Nominated for Best Director, nominated for Best Picture, nominated for Best Actress, nominated for Best Supporting Actress, nominated for Best Supporting Actor.
Damien Karras is, I think that's one of my favorite performances ever, too.
Yeah, he's good.
He's phenomenal.
Who's that actor?
Jason
Miller.
Jason Miller, yeah, he was terrific in that.
I was surprised to see, this is just me being like, knowing a lot about, like, he's Greek. Usually Greeks aren't Catholic. Usually they're like Greek Orthodox. I was just surprised that they went Greek, but I mean, I guess there are Greek Catholics. I was just surprised that they didn't make him like an Italian or an Irishman or something.
He actually studied to be a priest, and so when William Friedkin, when he was doing auditions,
really?
he's like he just reeked of failed Catholicism. So I cast him.
Yeah, best cinematography.
The guy who did the sound was like this experience, like
Robert Knudsen and Chris Newman.
I don't think he was nominated, but I guess the guy who actually did the sound effects, the actual Foley sound effects. William Friedkin described him as a poor Mexican guy without shoes. So like he did some like weird little experimental Mexican film, and Friedkin was so inspired by that, so he brought him to the States to work on it to do the sound for the film. And he goes, yeah, he was crazy. He's an experimenter, but he would just like, he didn't speak any English, but like, you know, he would watch a scene and then he would just pick random things around the studio. So the sound of Reagan's neck, like when her head's turned around, that's he got like the director's. He just grabbed his wallet and just like started crinkling it next to a microphone. So that's the sound of like leather, just like bending and crinkling.
I hate that scene.
But yeah, I guess he was like a really talented guy, just using random crap around to get these amazing sound effects. Oh, and then the sound of the demon leaving Reagan's body. It's the sound of pigs being led to the slaughter.
Really?
You can, when you pay attention, you can hear like trampling and oinks and stuff, like mixed with other sound effects. But it's like,
yeah, that's a horrific sound. Like a pig being taken. Have you ever seen the movie Pig with Nicolas Cage?
No, I haven't.
It was good. Like I don't think it didn't get nearly the recognition I think it deserved. It was a very cool movie. Surprisingly subdued for Cage. Like he's not wacky, he's not over the top. Like a really good Nicolas Cage role, and it's about he gets his pig stolen. He's like a truffle pig, and he's this recluse who lives out in the Oregon wilderness. You find out he has a background to all that. I won't spoil it, but like this the noise the pig makes, the mewling or the shrieking that it makes when it's being taken is horrific. It is a scary sound.
Yeah.
Really just like cuts you to your core.
So I love when movies do subliminal stuff like that. Like who thought of that? Like, hey, when she's being exercised, let's have pigs being led to the slaughter. Like,
yeah, that's like, I heard the classic sound Godzilla makes is like, it's like a whale noise and something else. I don't know if it's a pig or it's really crazy how how they combined whatever noises they combined to make that now iconic. Like his shriek is iconic.
Yeah.
Don't quote me on that, or maybe he's part whale or something. I don't know, but it's very cool.
Yeah, it's cool. That sort of thing requires a lot of lateral thinking. Just like
or the other classic one, one of my favorite movies is One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, and that classic noise of the dun 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 sound, like whatever that is. That's like a saw being, like a saw that's shaking or something like that. Yeah, very like who would think to use a saw to make noise, like to make music?
The sound effects. The laser sound effects from the original Star Wars movies was like a high tension cable, like metal cable, like holding up, a satellite or something, and then hitting it with like with like a wrench or something. So that you get like this really high pitch.
That's sweet.
Yeah.
Those are. It's just like there are those sounds from cinema that are iconic.
Yeah.
And you know what? When I was talking about Godzilla, I might have been confusing that with the Tyrannosaurus Rex from Jurassic Park.
Okay.
I forget. They both Godzilla and the T-Rex the way they make their roars are very unique. Like it's not obviously done on a computer that didn't exist yet, or not really for Jurassic Park. So look those up if you're listening and find out, because I don't know off the top of my head, but those are obviously like the T-Rex roar is iconic. Godzilla. Anyway.
Yeah, William Friedkin, thank you for The Exorcist.
Yeah, we love the movie. I was telling Joe before we hit record that I actually had not seen any of his other movies, but he sounds like an awesome director. I've heard of about 3 or 4 or 5 of them, and I put Sorcerer on my list, which Tarantino says is a masterpiece. Because I actually was looking up to see because I know Tarantino loves this age of New Hollywood, and I don't remember him mentioning him in his book. And Cinema Speculation. I don't know. I don't think so. So I looked up like Tarantino on Friedkin, and he's really talking about Sorcerer from what I could find, not The Exorcist. Jade, I've heard about, especially from like 40-year-old virgin. Do you remember when he talks about like you're so and so in Jade? And it's like I just remember him saying that, and it's real cool to get with Elizabeth Banks's character. And then The French Connection is, I don't know why I always thought that was a who's the director you love?
Stanley Kubrick?
No, I love
Hitchcock?
him too. Hitchcock. Why do I think that's a Hitchcock movie? French Connection.
I don't know.
I don't know why.
Why you would think that?
No
one's ever thought that.
I'm a big dumb idiot, I guess.
You get for living in Jersey, I guess.
Yeah, it's just something in the water. So I put those 3 on my list. When I will watch them eventually, and we can revisit them.
Cruising. I want to watch Cruising. Maybe I don't. That's the gay one.
Oh, you would want to watch a big gay boy.
It's actually related to The Exorcist. So do you know? No, seriously. Do you know? So do you know what Cruising's about? It came out in 1980. It was
assuming it's about cruising to hook up with dudes.
Pretty much, yeah. So I'm serious. So I guess it was partially inspired by real murders, a string of murders that was happening in New York City, like in the 70s, and it was specific. Like the murder was specifically targeting gay men, but then cutting up their body parts and then like leaving them garbage bags. So like I guess like their body, like, it's just like showing up like in the Hudson River or whatever. Like it just So the movie was based on that. But here's the thing. So a hospital technician, there was a guy who played a hospital technician in The Exorcist during the hospital scene. A very minor. I don't even know if he has any lines, but he plays somebody in the hospital. Yeah. At some point after he did The Exorcist, he was, I guess, found guilty of some like pretty heinous murder or something, right?
Really?
Yes. And so, when Friedkin is getting ready to do Cruising, he's like, "Oh, I remember that guy. I worked with him on The Exorcist, and because the movie's about murders, I'm going to go interview this guy. Like, I'm going to, as preparation for this movie." And I guess when he interviewed him, because apparently they never really caught the killer. I guess there were a few suspects, but I guess they never really caught who was cutting up these gay guys in New York City at the time. And the guy he was talking to heavily implied that he was the one who was like behind those murders.
Wait, so the actor in The Exorcist, is why was he arrested? Why was he in jail?
I'm gonna pull it up real quick.
Sorry if I just didn't follow that, because
I know it's a little bit of
where did Friedkin go to interview him? In prison,
in jail.
Right?
Yeah. So he was in jail. So I guess, but he's like, I want to interview this guy.
So what was he in jail for?
Let me pull it up real quick.
Not murder. Exorcismus is another. That's a good exorcism movie.
What's it called?
British one. Exorcismus.
Huh? Is it a comedy?
No.
Because it's Christmas.
It's relatively recent too. I think it's like 2014, 15, like that time period.
This is bugging me. Okay. Exorcist actor Cruising.
There's another one I think we've talked about before that I love. It's interesting. I can't remember the name of it, but it's like a Jewish version, which is interesting because usually exorcism movies are always Catholic, but like other religions have the same concept, like demonic possession. I know it's in Islam, it's in Judaism. It's called something else. Like I think other denominations of Christianity have it. So there's this Jewish one, and it's an okay movie. Like it has Modest Yahoo in it, which I always liked because I liked him growing up. The Hasidic reggae rapper, but I just thought it was so funny. I think it takes place down like North Carolina, and it's like, oh well, we need a Jewish person to do this, so let's go to Brooklyn, and just like go to Brooklyn to find a Jewish person. Now, like, you gotta find a Jewish person between North Carolina and Brooklyn because they're there.
Yeah.
I thought that was very funny.
I found it. Okay. So this is when he's getting ready to do cruising. Friedkin. A few years later, Jerry Weintraub brought the idea back to Friedkin, who was still not interested. However, Friedkin changed his mind following a series of unsolved killings in gay leather bars in the 1970s, and the articles written about the murders by Village Voice journalist Arthur Bell. Friedkin also knew a police officer named Randy Jurgensen who had gone into the same sort of deep cover that Pacino's Steve Burns did to investigate an earlier series of gay murders. Paul Bateson, a doctor's assistant who had appeared in Friedkin's 1973 film The Exorcist, was implicated but never charged in 6 of the leather bar murders while being prosecuted for another murder. So I read somewhere else that when he was being interviewed by Friedkin, he heavily implied that he was the one behind those unsolved murders.
It's pretty fucked. It's funny you say that because I'm actually watching the latest season of American Horror Story, just kind of randomly, and I'm pretty sure that's what it's about. It's about, I think it's late 70s, early 80s New York, like gay murders, and like a journalist who's I think the editor in chief at, I don't know, it's not the Village Voice. I don't know if it's supposed to be the Village Voice or its own. I think I looked it up. I think it is its own publication that doesn't exist anymore. And he's dating, a cop who can't be out because he's a cop in New York City at this time. There's a lot of anti-gay like discrimination, and there's the AIDS epidemic. I think there's AIDS epidemic going on, but I'm pretty sure it's like the exact same thing. I think that season might be based on these murders.
Interesting.
Yeah, obviously it was like usually American Horror Story has like paranormal twists and shit, but I think I'm only 2-3 episodes in.
Well, thank you, Friedkin, for giving us cruising. And The Exorcist too, I guess. The Exorcist, yes. Yeesh. Should we move on to Barbie?
Oh yeah, we can do Barbie. Talk about horror movies.
So conservatives are really going after Barbie.
Shocking.
Yeah. So do they? So how? I know we talked a little bit about this in the last episode, but how heavy-handed was like the patriarchy stuff? How like?
I read my review last episode. It's so heavy-handed that if you did a shot every time they mentioned the patriarchy, you would go blind.
Oh, right, that's right. Yeah. And yet you still enjoyed the movie.
I did. It's an enjoyable movie. Which is such a strange thing for them to focus on to me, because the patriarchy is never defined. It's actually kind of one of the jokes where Adam Gosling's like, I thought the patriarchy was just about horses. I'm paraphrasing there, but like I lost interest when I realized it wasn't mostly about horses. It's not. It's the worst part of the movie is its social commentary, because it's very, I just think, totally off base. Like it's not like, it would be one thing if it was on point, but just heavy-handed. Like that's its own kind of criticism. It's heavy-handed and it's like not on point at all. Like it's over the top. It's way too broad. It's ironic with how they treat the men who they literally use as like, I mean, Adam Gosling doesn't have a shirt on like half the movie, or like you see his rippling abs like half the movie, and there's no question about like body image for men at all. The nail in the coffin for that part of the movie is what I just call like the speech. It's just like this long tirade, or not tirade is not the right word, but it's like a lecture basically by what's her name, the Latina actress. No, she's like not a Barbie, she's like the mom who loved Barbies, and I forget her name. She's well known. I think she's like the Jane the Virgin actress.
Oh, okay.
It's takes you out of the movie. It's totally unnecessary.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I talked about. They cloned Tyrone, which also has social commentary, which is done so much better.
Yeah.
It's just showing you it, not telling you it, which is like
Right.
art 101.
Yeah.
And Barbie just they could like I gave it an 81, which is really good, and it's fun. Like it's a fun movie. Like it is funny. Ryan Gosling does he steals the show. I even listened to a podcast by a bunch of like left wing. I think they're all black left wing people who were like hated it.
Yeah.
Said it like kind of the same things I'm saying, but also like Ryan Gosling is the main character. Like he has the arc. He's the one who faces challenges, and he's the one who like is the most. He's like the most sympathetic. He faces challenges. He's funny. And Margot Robbie's kind of like just a stand-in. Like she doesn't have. This is not that interesting. It's like not as interesting for her.
Yeah.
It's a weird movie because there could also be criticism, which I ended my review on from like the crits.
Yeah.
Because do you want me to spoil it? Like, just want me to say the ending?
Yeah. Go for it.
Yeah. She says, she basically has to choose if she wants to be human or not. Because obviously becoming human has its drawbacks, and living in her Barbie world has its drawbacks, which is kind of the whole point of the movie. It's not perfect, but it's still like your Barbie world. And she becomes human. It's a really strange scene. I think really poorly done, actually. It's this montage of just like home videos, I think, of the actresses who are in the movies. I found out later. But it's all very actually about being a mother and like being family oriented. And at the end, the final line of the movie is she goes to a gynecologist, which if you've been in the crit Prague internet sphere in the past few years, that's not what makes a woman, is having a vagina.
Right.
So or having a uterus or whatever gynecologists do. It terrifies me, so I don't know.
Yeah.
But that's like actually I honestly thought there was going to be more criticism from, I don't like to say the left necessarily, but from the crits, from like the identitarian left.
Yeah.
Which I don't think there really is.
And it's interesting that you say that, because there is someone, a conservative, who is actually kind of defending the film. So this is Jack Butler of the National Review, which is a conservative publication.
Very conservative publication.
Yeah. Jack Butler of National Review rejected the perception of the film as a shallow, man-hating, and repulsive screed, and in arguing that the film is instead a post-feminist satire of what feminists imagine a perfect world looking like, and of what they imagine male dominance is like. Noted that in real world, Ken is rebuffed in all of his attempts to join the male hierarchy that purportedly dominates the world. He must return to Barbie Land to institute it. What he institutes there is so shallow that it collapses almost as quickly as it is set up. Meanwhile, though Robbie's Barbie restores female dominance in Barbie Land, she chooses not to stay there, and electing instead to become fully human.
So, I honestly and like there are, I think, conservative arguments for the movie. Like but like men are a punching bag in the movie. That's without a doubt. Yeah. They basically, what I thought was going to happen, honestly, it was like, okay, the men are treated like Kens are treated like shit. Yeah. The Barbies, it's a matriarchy, right? Like the Barbies run everything. They give each other awards. They have all the positions of power. Then the Kens take over, and it's just as satirical. Like they're all talking about The Godfather and shooting and riding horses and lifting weights, like kind of dudes rock type shit. And then I thought it was going to be, well, let's, work together, take the best aspects of each other and like coexist. I honestly thought that's where the movie was going, and it doesn't at all. It just goes back to a matriarchy. Right. And which I thought was very surprising, which I it's like, well, you guys are, this is the first line of my review is it's Animal Farm. It's just, when you come into power, you are what you believe you stand against. It's just now you're in power, right? It's the same thing. Like that's what Barbie is. Barbie is Animal Farm. All that being said, it's an enjoyable movie.
Yeah.
It's an enjoyable experience. I was in a, like I said, I live in a very typical, just kind of like suburban area.
Mhm.
I think it is, I think it's leans conservative overall, but it has liberals as kind of everyone. It's mixed demographics. It's, whatever. So I think I tend to have a decent cross section when in voting. And that's why I always like to look at the politics of my area. And I mean, there were people who were all dressed in all pink and there to see a movie, there for the event, not just because it's what's playing. And I thought after the speech, let's say, I thought there was going to be like applause, like roaring applause. It was silent. It was, okay.
Yeah.
Can we get back to the fun like that? Like, I think people have been, even people who agree with every single word. I keep forgetting. Do you have the Barbie up right now? Because I keep saying,
yeah.
What's
the actress?
Yeah, what's the actress? I keep forgetting her name.
Margot Robbie?
No. Anyway, I'll look it up. But like, I think people who agree with every single word that she's saying are like, yeah, but we've been lectured to.
Yeah.
Like okay, girl power, like we get it, but can we get back to the fun of the movie?
Right. Not
this kind of same. Oh my God, you type in Barbie on Google, like
I know. Yeah, I
think. Oh my God. So, and I thought I was surprised by that. I was expecting to be like, oh, there's going to be standing ovation and cheers and all that shit. But I just want to get this name down because it's not, it is, God damn. Oh yeah, Dua Lipa's in it. It's not her though. She's like barely in it. How come whenever I go to look up a name, America Ferrara, that's it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, I still recommend it. I think it's it's definitely been more analyzed than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
I do get the conservative backlash to it, kind of. I appreciate the defending from a conservative side. I mean, the National Review, that's who Armand White writes for, and he definitely panned it. I think I even looked that up. I guess they have more than one reviewer.
Yeah.
Armand White, by the way, do you know who that is?
Nuh-uh.
Oh, Armand White is he's actually black, which is you wouldn't expect from the National Review, but he has some of the hottest takes when it comes to movie reviews. Like if there's ever a movie that's like a 99 on Rotten Tomatoes, let's say, he's the one negative review. And sometimes he makes good points. Sometimes I think he's just contrarian to be contrarian. But he's an interesting guy. I appreciate a good take. I don't appreciate just contrarian for contrarian's sake, but I appreciate a good take. So yeah, is there anything else that you wanted to touch on Barbie? I mean, it's good. It's fun.
Yeah. I guess I'm just tired of hearing the word patriarchy. So I think that's like, because before I was like, I mean, maybe I'll watch it. Maybe I'll watch the movie. It looks silly and zany enough to be entertaining. But it's just like, if it's going to be
that's what surprised me, is that patriarchy feels so 2021.
Yeah.
29, like 2018 to 2021. It didn't seem like the most current. Like it was like, oh, that, and sometimes movies do that where because movies take so long to make and they try and be of a moment, but then that moment passed 8 months ago. It was like in Black Panther when the girls does like the "what are those" joke.
Oh
yeah,
at
the shoes. And I was like, that was 13 months ago. Because sometimes movies, like, they take a while to make, and then sometimes there's delays in distribution and all of that. So it felt kind of like that. I was like, oh, we're on patriarchy stuff. Okay, like that. That kind of surprises me. It was like, oh, it's still the patriarchy. We're just like better at hiding it now. That was like some suit said that. Yeah. And what was so funny to me was that they could have gone to real patriarchal societies. Right. They went to the only parts of Earth that they show, like real Earth, not Barbie Land, is Los Angeles.
Yeah.
I mean, like Los Angeles is what you're going to use for the patriarchy of like
black female mayor,
I mean, why don't you go to Saudi Arabia? Why don't you go to like some of these like most of Latin America is very patriarchal. Like most of the Middle East, like you go to Los Angeles,
right?
Where it just was very, and they're showing, the boardroom isn't entirely white, but it's entirely male. I'm like, I doubt if any corporation in America looks like their board looks like that anymore. Like they did during Mad Men. They don't anymore.
Bill Maher pointed this out in a tweet that went viral because I guess he looked it up. Mattel's actual board in real life is 7 men and 5 women.
Yeah, like
so
that doesn't exactly. It's like I don't know. That's why I felt so forced, because it's that's exactly my point. Is you're arguing like Mattel is. I mean, they can't rip on Mattel too much because it's literally they had to get the rights from Mattel, and it's who makes Barbie and all that. But it's like also the founder of Barbie was a woman, and they have her in it. And it just that's where it's like it just misses the mark on that stuff. You could have had a movie more focused on the fun while having like little bits of social commentary here and there.
Yeah,
that would have had to change, I think, a lot of the plot. But there is no plot to Barbie. Like it's fucking. But you could have done anything with Barbie.
Yeah,
any existential thing you could have done with her, and you wanted it to be about like the patriarchy. It was very a weird decision. Still, though, an enjoyable movie.
The co-writer is Noah Baumbach.
Yeah, Noah Baumbach and Greta Gerwig.
He seems like someone who would hate the patriarchy. Like,
yeah. Well, he did. Well, they're married. He did Marriage Story.
Yeah.
Squid and the Whale. They're very Greta Gerwig and Noah Baumbach are like the definition of the. Well, not until
quirky
now.
Indie hipster.
Yeah. Like Brooklyn. I like their work. I like Frances Ha a lot. I think Frances Ha. It's the typical like young white urban Brooklyn woman in New York City, like Brooklyn, Manhattan, making it like struggling, smart, witty. Like I like that shit. Like I like those. I like the Squid and the Whale. I like and I mean these are some of the people who I'd rip on the most. Who I think I would hate some of their politics the most sometimes, like New Yorker reading, which I read the New Yorker, like Brooklyn, Manhattan people who think they're better than everyone else. Like I like their movies. Like they're interesting to me, even if I would get in a fight with them at a dinner party.
Yeah. All right, cool. So Ben DeLucio is a Barbie boy.
I'm a big Barbie boy.
Yeah, do you want
to do the other topic, or what do you think?
Yeah, I just want to touch this real
let's just touch it. Just touch it. Just look at it.
Let's see what comes out.
We'll slap and tickle.
Yeah, and then we'll see what comes out. So The Sound of Freedom. This has been an interesting one because it's become kind of a big hit. It's made $164 million. I think.
Here, Joe, let me give you a pointer. If you ever want to sound smart, you say something is like a Rorschach test. Oh, okay. So The Sound of Freedom. You could say that The Sound of Freedom is a Rorschach test.
Okay, you have been reading the New Yorker, haven't you?
Yes, Jim, yes. I like it. It's good writing. I like it.
Oh. Was it Seinfeld that was making fun of like the cartoons in the New Yorker?
They definitely did in Family Guy, where it's like I'd be more apathetic if I weren't so lethargic. Like Peter's like it takes multiple days for him to get it.
Oh,
and there's the Lane one where it's like the complaint department.
Is it the New Yorker that she goes to because she's complaining about how the comic doesn't make any sense?
I don't remember if it's the New Yorker. I don't know if it's like New York Times or. I'm a big Seinfeld fan, and I know they reference the New Yorker off the top of my head only once, where George is like looking for poetry, and someone's like, "The New Yorker has poetry," and he's like, "That's right, the New Yorker."
I'm pretty sure it goes to the New Yorker,
and she's like, "The complaint department. I wish I were taller." I think it's kind of funny.
Yeah. It's
the New Yorker.
Cool. Okay. Yeah. But so this is an interesting one. I have not seen this film, but it's doing pretty well. So what's interesting is like how politicized it's become, because it's based on a true story of a dude as the real life Tim Ballard, who worked as an agent for the Department of Homeland Security before embarking on his own quest to bring child traffickers to justice. So yeah, I mean, I know Jim Caviezel who plays the main guy.
Famously played Jesus Christ.
Jesus, yeah. They share the same initials too.
That's right. Yes,
Yeah.
they do.
That's probably why they cast him.
JC.
I know that
I had a friend like that in law school. He introduced him. He went by JC. He's like JC, like Jesus Christ. I was like, all right.
I could top that. I knew a black guy in high school whose initials.
Oh, don't brag.
Whose initials were KKK. I swear to God.
Stop. What?
I swear to God. Yes, I'm dead.
What was his name?
I remember his first and last name is his first name was Kyoja and his last name was Kadu, I think. I don't remember his middle name.
Was he African? So like they didn't know.
I think his dad was from Africa, and so
how could they overlook that?
I don't know, but
that's so bad.
Oh man.
Did he like was he open about it?
Yeah, he thought it was funny.
Yeah, he's African. Yeah.
It was like, yeah, this is my dad. He didn't know.
We didn't know.
But you know he was half black, so his I don't know why the mom didn't say, "Whoa, hey, honey."
Mom knew. Mom knew. Mom.
Oh man.
Mom's a cracker.
Yeah. But yeah. So anyway, so I know that JC here, Jim Caviezel. I know he's kind of into like QAnon conspiracy theory crap. So I think that's one thing that's made the film controversial. But also, I don't know. I mean, I don't know how heavy-handed the film is, but it doesn't. When the left is going after it, and it's like, yeah, but the movie's about.
Yeah, if you're on the side that's criticizing the people trying to stop human trafficking,
yeah,
probably not a good.
Yeah,
fight. Probably sit it out.
Yeah,
let it run its course.
What's interesting though is that the film, it wasn't like a persona non grata from the very beginning, because apparently, hold on, I also want to pull this up real quick.
Wait, where's the persona non grata?
Where it's like no studio wanted to touch it. I mean, so before here it is. So they spent 8 years bringing the indie movie to the big screen, including cobbling together for the financing for the $14.5 million film. Fox International made a distribution deal with the filmmakers in 2018 before the Disney merger closed in 2019. Disney ended up shelving the film's theatrical release, but allowed the filmmakers to buy the back rights. I guess maybe buy back the rights. So Fox was apparently going to distribute the film. It was going to be distributed by a major studio. But I guess it was Disney. They were the ones who said no. And Disney's pretty woke. So
do you think Jim Caviezel would come on our show?
Maybe.
Do you think he would come on our show dressed as Jesus?
Yeah, if that was the stipulation, maybe. I don't know what kind of maybe. That'd be funny.
That'd be amazing. I'm gonna ask.
It's like, do you think does he still have like the thorns from?
Yeah. He 100% has the crown of thorns.
I would keep them. Yeah.
I would too.
Yeah.
I like that movie. I was really into that movie.
I haven't seen that movie.
I was into it so much that I remember that came out when I was in 8th grade, 2004, and 8th grade English. The final paper you had to write was literally a paper on a word like that, and you got to pick the word. Yeah, it could be any word. Yeah, not fuck, but it could be any other word. Yeah, it couldn't be a swear. And my word, and I was into the movie. My word was passion. Like that's how into it I was. And I wrote how it's about passion, like you're passionate about shit, but also like the religious part of passion.
Yeah.
I think I got like a B+.
Oh, nice. Yeah. How's bragging camp coming along? Got a B+. But yeah, this is I want to talk about the ticket thing, because that's actually pretty interesting. It was the pay it forward thing.
Tell me.
So upon submitting my pay it forward contribution, I acknowledge and agree that Angel Studios will make reasonable efforts to use pay it forward tickets for. So what is it? Oh, pay it forward, whereby people are urged to buy and then donate Sound of Freedom tickets to others to use. Those others can grab a code off the pay it forward website and then redeem it using major online ticketing services or an individual theater. Interesting.
Yeah, I'm not going to do any of that.
Yeah, I'm not going to do that either. But
I would just like to pay money and get my service.
Right.
Yeah.
But it seems to have helped. The film, I mean, $14.5 million budget, and then it's made $164 million, so more than 10 times its money back.
That's doing pretty well. So
Yeah.
and so this was then distributed by Angel Studios.
Yeah.
So are they like a conservative? Because I was looking at their, I guess, catalog, and like a third of the stuff they make is like biblical, like that for the genre. It says like biblical.
Yeah.
So, and we had talked about this.
So.
What was that?
And they're based out of Utah. So
yeah, they're based out of Utah. I think this is fine. Like I think we saw that there were going to be more like didn't Daily Wire start making movies, and like we're going to see more of this. Yeah. And clearly it's lucrative. Like there's a market for it. Yeah. Also here, I appreciate the Hollywood Reporter like saying like a 37%. So over a third of the moviegoers are Latinxes. They actually do say Latinos. I'm being a dick. But I wonder if they're like, oh yeah, that happens because this all takes place in Central America, right?
Yeah.
Or South America.
Yeah.
So the Latinxes are lining up to see it. And it's opening in UK, Australia, South Africa. So this is like, I think this is should be another signal to mainstream shit. Yes. Like same with the Bud Light stuff. Like, no, it's a big fucking country. Yeah. People have a lot of interests. You can make, like, you can silo yourself off and only appeal to a percentage of the population, or you can appeal to all sides and make other types of stuff.
Yes.
Because there's clearly a market for it.
Yeah. And here's the thing. So like, even if a lot of the stuff coming out of like the Daily Wire and Angel Studios is kind of cringy and heavy handed with its right wing politics, I'm still kind of rooting for it in a weird way. Cause it's like, look, Hollywood, like the bar, I think, is set pretty low. All you have to do is just not lecture audiences. Like you just made a big dumb action movie. And like that's all it was. It's like, okay, cool. Yeah, you'll get like half of America will watch it opening weekend.
Yeah, don't like all you have to do is, and like you said, like it's cringy. It's like but they're all creating cringy liberal shit.
Exactly.
So it's like so you can just do the same thing and appeal to. And there was, I feel like, a lot of this in like the early 2000s when we were at our most patriotic. Like all you have to do is not shit on America, not shit on like big broad demographics. It doesn't mean like you can't have people of color in leading roles or women do like people are cool with that shit. Like that's fine. I don't think it's more of when it's about the patriarchy. Like again, that movie Barbie's done really, really well. So I mean, I guess you could say, well, that's the counter to it. That's fine. But what was the budget for Barbie 2? And how much is that making compared? So this might actually be an even better deal when this wraps up. But like all you have to do is, I think, because there's such a market for quote unquote conservative art. If you just don't do a handful of things, I think people will gravitate towards it.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like just don't be antagonistic to a population. And I don't mean like the Bud Light thing. So it's like, well, people argue, well, they know it's just they did a trans influencer and what's the big deal? There's casting a wider net. And it's like, no, that's actually not what happened. First of all, it's not just a trans influencer, it's a trans activist who has like very overt views. And it's also like done shit at the Biden White House. Like stay away from politics. 2, what I think gets lost in this conversation all the time about the Bud Light boycott is that their marketing team, it was leaked and it reliably that they were saying they want to shift their demographics. They don't want to be this frat boy image, like middle America image. Well, you got what you wished for. Right. So like that's not just casting a wider net. You were trying to shift. And it's clearly not working.
Right.
And I don't think they're ever going to recover from. That's what's coming out. It's like Bud Light just won't recover. Like it's not a good enough product where it's like Coca-Cola can get away with this shit. Because while there's Pepsi and Dr. whatever, not Dr. Pepper, like I don't know, RC Cola, other shit out there. Like Coca-Cola is kind of unanimous, like pretty much the favorite everywhere. I know in the Northeast, Pepsi does have more of a presence because it's from New York. I would still pick Coke over it. So like Coca-Cola is a little different. They can get away with, I think, more. But like Bud Light, people are going to drink Coors Light. They're going to drink Miller Lite. They're going to drink like I'm a Miller drinker. Like I drink Miller Lite, Miller High Life, Miller Genuine Draft. If I needed to switch, like I could. That's my go-to. Like that's what I like.
Right.
But it's not like if they've really offended me, if they really start doing shit that I don't like, and like was in my and Miller's come out with some of the same kind of shit, same progressive shit, but like it might be something, you know, small, and then they have a normal shit. It won't be hard for me to find another beer I can drink. There's thousands of them. There's one Coca-Cola.
Yeah. Right.
Like maybe Guinness can get away with it because Guinness is, I think, unique.
Yeah.
Maybe, I don't know, but like beer, there's so many types of beer and so many brands of beer making the same kind of beer. Like you can't do that.
Exactly.
So.
Yeah, I mean, you remember the whole Gillette thing from a few years back when they were like doing like
oh my god, it was like toxic that toxic masculinity, and then it was patriarchy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. What did they get boycotted?
Oh hell yeah, they got all kinds of backlash. Like and then I remember right after that happened, there was some other shaving company that did the exact opposite approach, and it's it almost switched me. I mean, I don't think I actually used Gillette. I think I just used like some generic brand from Target or something. But like it like when I saw this other shaving company do the exact opposite, where it's like we care about men, and so like it showed like, you know, men make up 93% of occupational fatalities, and men commit suicide 3 times more often, and we need to help men. It's like that almost made me go like, fuck Gillette, I'm just gonna start buying my shit from them. But it's like, you know,
that was for me, but I don't even think, but here's the thing, I don't even think you have to do that either. Like you don't have to totally go, like you just be like, this is a good quality razor. We appreciate our customer base, which is for men. We want men never like, that's it. Like that's all you have to do. It's really not a high bar. All you have to do is like not antagonize people, like not make it political. I don't know where it became this thing where every brand has to have political opinions. Because if I ran a business, I would just steer clear of it. Like I remember
lecturing your own base, for fuck's sake.
It makes no fucking sense. I remember I worked in a retail store, like privately owned small business, and my boss put a Obama sticker above like the office store or whatever. I'm like, like so-and-so, you know, you're just going to alienate a third to a half to 2/3 of like on any given time who come in here. Like this isn't, you know, deep blue near campus Philadelphia or New York. Like this is like definitely more liberal, but there are a lot of conservatives here too. Who shop here. Like why? Like you're not going to get more people to come shop here with that sticker. You're only going to get someone to go, well, I'm not buying my 6-pack here anymore. I'm not buying my bottle of wine here. So I just don't understand it. And it just seems so simple to me. I think some places are changing, which is really like, it's not even like I want you to do my politics. I just don't want you to be political.
Exactly.
I always say, I don't need my hockey team tweeting about Kyle Rittenhouse. I don't need the cookies I like tweeting about Georgia voting rights. Just shut the fuck up. Play hot. Make the playoffs. That's why I respond to the Devils. Just, can you just make the playoffs? Make the playoffs, please. You did it this year. Good. Just make a cookie. That's all you gotta do. Make the fucking cookies.
Can I buy a shoe? Like, why is my shoe voting?
Like, yeah, but there are some like there's some like Nike. Like, yeah, they're competitors to Nike, but Nike is Nike. Like, there are a handful that they can lean into social justice as much as they want. I don't think it hurts them.
Right.
I don't know. I don't follow. Like, I don't really care. Like, I have Nike stuff. I have not Nike shit. Like, I don't really care. But I know the difference with the Bud Light is like I was reading, because I was literally reading about this today. Because it's not recovered. It hasn't even gotten close to recovering. It's like most of these boycotts, there's small backlash, it dips, and then it goes kind of back to normal. That's not happening here. So like I know Nike, they've tried to boycott Nike when they did the Kaepernick stuff. Like it's just, this is different. Like I think there's also been so many, like there have been so many brands and so many corporations that have just not shut the fuck up about things that they don't need to talk about, that finally like it's kind of more organized. Like, and really leaning on it, not like to give them a signal to like really lean in and say like, okay, no, we're just not buying this anymore indefinitely.
Someone has to have made a joke about Anheuser-Busch and like having a trans person like represent them. Like someone's got to make some kind of joke about Bush and like, Yeah, I can't think.
Yeah.
I can't think of the connection.
I'm sure we'll find it.
Yeah. No. All right. Well, don't lecture your audience, and make sure you know who does not lecture their audience? The Reckless Musecast.
Oh shit, that's right. Yeah, we should
And-
promote ourselves.
And so, you know, if you want to support a brand that does not lecture its audience, you support the Reckless Musecast.
I lecture the audience.
Yeah, I know this is what
We're also
the whole show is.
a podcast.
Yeah.
that is our product. It's talking.
But still, if you like our unique brand of lecturing, you know, check us out at patreon.com/the Reckless Musecast.
Yes, we have it's all so again, all episodes we will always keep. I'm just making this decision right now. We will always keep every episode for free.
Yes.
To do that, we would appreciate you signing up for the Patreon, and you get merch and books and stickers and shirts and all that fun stuff.
Yeah.
It's all just to support us. You won't lose anything by not doing it, but we'll love you extra special if you do.
And if you ever see us in public, you know, say hi. Say hi.
Don't say hi to me.
No. Yeah, don't say hi to Benna. But you can tackle him though.
Oh yeah,
don't say anything. Don't say anything.
Yeah, sure. And then just walk away. I'll be like, "What the hell was that?"
That was a reckless tackle. I knew it.
That's a reckless. Oh, that's a musy. I know a tackle. Fucking love you.
Wow. From coast to coast. All right. Well, everybody, stay reckless. Fight the crits.
Fight the crits.
And
fight them.
see you next week.
Hasta luego, mis amigo.
We'll speak English on the reckless.